Okay, now it's time for the material. So in the previous video, we set up these nice lighting, and now it's time for the materials. So let's click here, go to the view layers, and before, if I just open up this collection, we can select these camera, and we can select all the lights. Press M in the viewport and make a new collection name for lights or lighting the scene, whatever perfect you can name it. So you can see that if I just choose the camera in the setting, instead of perspective, I moved to orthographic mode because my image reference was in orthographic mode, and I just changed it from perspective to orthographic mode, and it feels just a bit better. Then we have to play around with the scale, and you can rotate it how you want, and it is in orthographic mode, which is really interesting. So let's open up another panel, and we press N to deactivate the camera lock to view, and we move it just a bit closer to see what we are actually doing. We can press 0 here, and then I like to open up another panel. I like to set this one to shader. Then we press N. So currently, if I just select one of these objects, we can click here, and at the same time we have full control over the viewport in the solid mode or in wireframe mode, which is fast, actually fast to access each of these. And we have the render mode. So anyway, what can we do with the lighting? If I just click here, we can change it to image editor, and I imported this image. You can just drag and drop it and release your image to this to have it as the reference image. So now, first of all, we select one of these. Here you can see they selected. If I just choose one of these here, you will see that they selected here. First, I like to select all these parts, which is the cylinder part. Then I can merge the, not merging, but if I press Ctrl and L, we can link material. So you will notice that later. So let's add a new material to that. We can add the materials from here or from here, as I said before. So let's click here and add a new. We name it to base, and hold Ctrl and middle mouse to zoom in this area. So we have the base color as before. We can click here, and we can select this eyedropper and choose one of these. For example, you can select these, and you will see the effects of that light. Or just select one of these, and just it will change. Or if you have a hex code, you can paste it right here, and it will release here. So now once we have assigned this, now I'm good to select the rest of the cylinders, and then make sure to select the last one, the object which you added the material to that. So press Ctrl L and link material. In this case, all the rest will be assigned and will get the same material. So now it's the time for the setting. So roughness is going to be really high, so we can set it to 1, and you will see the, so we want to have a rough. You can see if I set the level of specular to 1, we will catch a lot of lights from the surrounding objects or the lights from around. And then if I just open up the sheen, we can actually play around with it. About, if I set it to 1, it is really high, but 0.5 should be okay. But I like to use a greenish color, so we can paste the same hex code, but with a brighter color. And we can change the color. Oh, it is a match. It is really, really nice. So you can play around with whatever color you prefer. So in this case, because this hex code which I paste is a green color, so we can just change the color to find a good tone, something around this. Then we can play around with the how much we want to play around with the saturation. So something around this. You're free to change it at any time. Then here is the roughness. If you set it to 1, so you will cover all the parts. Well, let's set it to 5 or 6 or so, to at least have just a bit of that. So anyway, so this is the basic setting for this. And then you can see the boolean is showing up in this case, so we can apply them, apply the solidify modifier one by one. Oh, it actually doesn't work, so let's apply the bevel first, then these two. And now we can just remove these shapes and we see those holes that we needed. Now let's remove them as well. Now we can work further. Okay, so let's select this one and we can actually copy the same color. Let's select all these other objects. Let's select everything except these lines. So now make sure to select only those. And then one of these which has the material, so Control L and link material. So now we actually assigned the same color to all of those, which is interesting. But we don't want to use only one color, so we can select each of these and we can click here. You can see that 14 objects is using the same material. We can click here to duplicate it. So as soon as we duplicate, we can name those to, for example, base 02. You can name it whatever you prefer, or you can name it wall, whatever is perfect for you. So that's fine. And actually we had another option, another tutorial which I uploaded on my YouTube channel, Art Studio 313, and you can change it. You can go to the Udemy and you will find the link for my YouTube channel. And I actually I'm putting each week new tutorial on my YouTube channel, so make sure to don't miss those. And I just explained a really good method for lighting the edges, and I like to do it in this tutorial, a short tutorial as well, to cover the edges. So we can use the same technique. So let's add a bevel, and this technique will work on the in-cycle and geometry. We can use a vector math, and we will set this one to dot product, and we connect the normal to vector and the normal of these to vector. And we need just a bit more space. Then here we need a color ramp, and let's connect these actually to here. And then we need a range, a map range, and we connect it to color, to the value of this. So now we can actually connect this one, but before it, we can move it and we mix at a mix color, and we connect these factor to factor. And now just take a look what is happening. If I just press Control and Yes, so let's click here and we copy this hex first and then we connect it. So now let's take a look. So I think we need to change this one. So we delete the mix and instead we bring a ramp color. So we type ramp. Let's type ramp color and we can assign it here. So now if I just, so with this ramp color, we can change the color. For example, if I just press Ctrl Shift and left click, you will see, we see something really tiny dark line around the edges here, for example. But we can make, work on that. We can, for example, let's move here from minimum to 0 to minimum. We can take it really down to -20, or let's type -10, something like that. And now if I just press Ctrl Shift and left click, we will see a preview of this. So since we are using a black and white color, so this part is going to be white, which I click here and I insert my hex code which we had. Wow, that's interesting. And the black part is going to be the same hex code, but I like to make it brighter so that we can see the edges just a bit brighter. And now Ctrl Shift and left click to see a preview of that. So it is not visible too much, so therefore we go here and play around so that it make itself visible to us. Just take a look at the edges around it. We can press Ctrl Shift and left click to expand these, or we can play around with here and you can see it starts to make it sharper. Wow, it's a lot. Now let's Ctrl Shift and left click on Principal VSF and you will see it, and it actually is really interesting. So we can just select everything, press M to mute those. It is before and after. Wow, it's a lot different. So that's great. We can press Ctrl S to save this. So this is a really important tip. So let's select this one, Shift, press Ctrl L and link the same, and now this one has got the same. Okay, that's interesting. So what else can we do? Now we can click here to make it, to convert it something else, base, for example 01 underscore base. We can name it like so, or just type, for example, so that you know what is what. And here I like to play around with this. So let's, because the edges is too high, and I like to set it to somewhere around this -2. In this case works good. I like to see just less effects out of that. So we need to move this light or bright slider towards the dark area. Now it's a lot better. Ctrl Shift and left click and see. Oh, it's better. So now let's select it, and this one is the color itself. So let's click here, and I just click this one, change it to something else. This one isn't too interesting, so let's choose another color. And Once you're happy, you can click here, select eyedropper and choose it again. Then just play around with this part to make it brighter. You can see the edges is start to make itself brighter, but it is catching the lights from surrounding objects, which is really nice. It is important to think about the color. Is this color matching this color or not? So this is really important to take a search about it. Now take a look at this one. It is more interesting because I just googled and saw some image references, which the green is more actually fit with a black or white. So black and white will be fit with every color, but in this case a green like this will be good with a color like this one. We can change it or to a blackish, for example. And another important thing is the sheen. When we change the color of the base, we have to change the color of the sheen, because in the tint we added this kind of color. So then we grab the same color of here and we can colorize it, because if it's gonna be a reddish color, or you can see how it will affect on the object itself. So it is really important to change it once you assign it to any color that you prefer. For example, if you set it to white, let's say we set it to white, we play around with this value and you can see around, for example, 0.5 looks good. And then we change this one. Let's take a copy in case if you want to return it back. So let's grab this one and we set it to white. Let's play around with this value 0.1. We don't like to set it too bright, and then we want this one to be bright, or this one less bright, this one as well, just a little bit, so that we can see the edges. Now this one interesting, but not as this one that we had. So the sheen is important. So let's delete it and connect these from here to here. And we can change the sheen to the same color. And you can see how it will affect on the object itself. Then you have to play around with the sheen how you like. Or you can just set it to a white color, or play around with this. So that's up to you how you want to set it up. So now let's continue. Okay, as the image reference, we can select this ball, then select this one and link material, so that these two can be the same color. And then let's select this ball, click here, and we can name it to base, or 02 base. All of this is base. So let's turn this one to something else. For example, let's play around with the hue to find a good color. Then we can play around with the saturation, leave it white. So let's leave this one as white, and we can change it to just with brighter color, and then saturation is going to be around white. Then we hold on Shift and select this one, Control L and link material. Whoa, sorry. This one, then this one, because this has the white material and not this one. So we select this one, and the active object should be this one, which has the white color. And boom, you will see it. So in some case, if I just press N, I don't know if it's do something, but we can apply the scale, Control A, and apply the scale, and just take a look. Nothing is happening, but this part is actually will do. You can see when I applied the scale for all of these, because this has the solidify modifier, it will be changed, of course. So in some case, we will see some effects out of that, out of those. So these two balls is really small, and what is happening here, I don't know exactly. So let's press select this camera. Let's click here to see the camera edge. Then we go here and we just move. What is happening, right? What I just did it. So let's fix it. I don't know exact, but the camera is converted to this kind of shape, which is 1080 by 90/20. No problem, we can just move it in this case. So we can grab it by G and type R 2 times, then move it back, or let's type Z 2 times, because we need to move it in global, along local Z axis, and it is fixed now. So if you have some problem, make sure to move it, because we have global and the local. If you set it to local now, if I just press Z, all your objects will be moved in local and not global. So that's important to note. So anyway, let's work on this. So this one is too dark and we can't actually see it, and that's not a big problem, but we can actually fix it by adding a light behind it. Oh, you can see how it will affect. So let's delete that light. And actually the most problem is because this light is affecting these objects and this one is underneath, therefore the light won't be affected that one. And the another problem is that this color is like a blue, dark blue, and it is not visible too much. I can play around with this sheen, but it is not affecting. So we can fix it in case if it's important, but it looks realistic. For example, if I press H to hide it, you can see that the light is shining on it, and we can press Alt H to unhide it. Okay, that's great. Or we can do another thing, is that we move it down and we grab these two and move those up, just like so. Is it interesting? Well, let's have it like so. So that's about it. So you can see that I changed this one with the same method. We just select this one and then this one, Control L to link material. Then we click here to make it a separate. We can name it to 04 and name it to base. Then what I did is to change the tint just a bit up so that it can be lighter than this one. And I did the same thing with these two. Okay, that's about it. Then if you like, you can change this kind of color to any color that you like. For example, we can make it metallic and we take down the roughness. Oh, but before, let's select this and make another color out of that, metallic, and make the roughness really low to see the shininess, then we can work on the transmission in case, but the transmission doesn't work with a metallic. Transmission will make the objects glassy. So if I just focus on it, you will see that it is actually converted to a glassy shape, and we even can't see through it. Another thing is the subsurface, which is affecting. So if I just deselect this and we actually play around with it just a bit more, 0.3 or so, and we can even set it without any problem. And another thing is that the color is playing a big role in this case. And then we can play around with these IOR. You can see how it will affect. And now if I just put something behind it, let's move the same. You can see the light is shining through it almost, these parts. And then we can change the color to any color that we prefer. The most color for now is coming from the sheen. We can set it to 0 and just take a look. So any kind of shape can be created really fast here, right in Blender. Point 4 should be good, but I like to delete this one and just leave it as it is. So this color is interesting, so let's give that as well the same color. Or let's select another one. You can try to find a good, actually, an interesting. So this is just playing around with the color and the materials. Now I think it is not too bad, and if we play around with it, I'm sure that we can actually get more and beautiful effects out of that. So I will pause the video for here and we'll continue in the next video.